Welcome to the Good Gourd. This is the place where we dive into simple, practical ways to stay healthy, inspired by the wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine. Each episode will share easy tips and fresh ideas to help you feel balanced, energized, and well.
All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, and we're going way beyond just acupuncture this time. We will be talking about TCM core principles and how they connect it to living a healthier and longer life.
That's exciting! You know, when I first started learning about TCM from my mom, who has practiced both Chinese medicine and conventional medicine for 4 decades now, I was just amazed by how our internal body and the external are interconnected. In the UK, I am surprised by what people think TCM is. It is so much more than just using needles and herbs. It's this incredibly rich blend of philosophy, clinical practice, and a profound understanding of nature.
Okay, I get that. But what was it for you that really hooked you? Was there a specific aha moment where you realized just how deep the system is?
Think of it this way. The ancient Chinese thinkers and modern scientists could be living in parallel worlds using different tools to solve the same problems. Imagine these ancient scholars thousands of years ago trying to unlock the universe's underlying principles, just like Einstein and modern scientists did in more recent times.
That's a really interesting comparison. So, were they doing experiments like scientists did today?
Of course, experiments went through thousands of years, and their lab was nature itself. Don't forget, these were agrarian societies, so observing the cycles of nature, the seasons, and how they impacted health and illnesses, tasting different plants and fruits, and learning what they do to different human bodies at different times. These are crucial for their survival. These insights were not just theoretical, they were a matter of life and death.
So, it makes sense that they would create such a sophisticated system for understanding those connections. And you mentioned the I Ching earlier of the book and changes. I've always thought of that as like a fortune telling tool.
It's so much more than fortune telling. Yi means changes, Jing means the way. So I Jing together is a system for navigating changes and making decisions, but in alignment with natural laws. Let's say you're facing a big career decision. I Jing can help you explore the different paths that are available to you and understand the potential outcomes, like mapping out multiple possibilities, like the map of quantum mechanics that mathematicians have expressed in a more modern way.
So, you just connected ancient Chinese wisdom to the quantum mechanics. That's amazing. So, how does it align with those natural laws translate into health and longevity in TCM?
Well, TCM believes that true health and a long life come from living in harmony with nature's rhythms. 道德经, the classic of the way and virtue, which is a fundamental text in Taoism, describes this beautifully. Human beings follow the laws of the earth follows the laws of heaven. It's all about recognizing our connection to the cosmos. Again, Stephen Hawking dedicated his studies to this.
So, we're not just individuals, but part of a larger web of life.
Exactly, and that's where the concept of yin and yang comes in.
Yes, I totally agree. Yin, dark and cold, and yang, light and hot, are the opposites. However, these opposing forces are actually complementary and constantly interacting to maintain balance. And it's not just about achieving balance within ourselves, but also in our relationship to the world around us.
And to maintain that balance, TCM has some seriously ancient yet insightful wisdom to share. One text in particular, 黄帝内经, or the Yellow Emperor's classic of medicine, is a treasure trove of practical advice for living in sync with nature.
Okay, is that where they hide all the longevity secrets?
Yeah, the first 4 chapters alone are fascinating. They go deep into practices for extending lifespan, aligning your life with the seasons, and they discuss nourishing lives, which is what we call preventative medicine today. So they were already thinking about preventative care thousands of years ago. They even connected the 5 essential organs: heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys to specific seasons, demonstrating a deep understanding of how our bodies are connected to the natural world. That's really amazing.
But how does acupuncture fit into all of this? I mean, how do needles connect to this bigger picture of cosmic harmony?
That's where the meridian system comes into play. What's happening inside your body can show up externally.
So, like if someone has a sluggish liver, could it show up as a skin rash?
Yes, that's one example. Another can be someone with gallbladder disease experiencing pain in their shoulders. They seem completely unrelated.
Yeah, I mean, you just remind me of my eczema that I have every now and then, especially after I go for a swim or I have a couple of drinks. I mean, like, what does it mean? Does that mean that I have a liver issue? And how can I improve this condition without seeing a GP? Because I know they will prescribe me like steroids, which I don't really want to use.
I don't think you have a liver issue, and you certainly don't need steroids, which can give you undesired side effects. It sounds more like you have dampness in your body, and your spleen could be a little weak. This combination tends to give the symptoms you just described. You can get some Fuling, Huang Qi, goji berries, and why not some red dates as well, and make soup out of them. We can talk about this in another episode. As we were just discussing the interconnectedness of our bodies, it is actually all mapped out by these meridians, which are like energy pathways.
So, do you mean by stimulating specific points along these meridians, acupuncturists are trying to rebalance the flow of the energy within the body?
Exactly. It's not just about needles. Other TCM practices like herbal medicine and dietary recommendations also work with this meridian system.
It's amazing how they developed this intricate map of the body energy system. What about 5 faces theory?
This is getting more interesting now when we explore how TCM views the connections between the organs, seasons, and even how illnesses develop through this lens of the 5 faces.
Okay, this is where I need a bit more explanation. I've always found 5 faces a little tricky to understand.
So imagine each of the 5 essential organs we talked about is associated with one of these 5 faces: wood, fire, earth, metal, and last but not least, water. And each phase also corresponds to different seasons, specific emotions, flavors, and even colors.
I'm starting to see how this could be complex. But how does this theory actually play out in understanding health and illness?
Let's take the lung, for example. In the 5 faces theory, the lung is associated with the metal element and the autumn season. Now think about the qualities of metal. It contracts and conducts. And autumn is when nature also contracts. Leaves fall and things dry up.
So there is a symbolic connection between the lung, metal, and autumn.
Mhm. And TCM practitioners observe that people with lung issues like asthma often experience flare-ups in autumn. The dryness and contraction in nature seems to mirror what's happening within our bodies and their lungs.
That's a mind-blowing connection. So each organ has this intricate relationship with a specific element, season, and even emotions.
Precisely. For instance, the liver is associated with the wood element, and the spring season, a time of growth and new beginnings, but it also relates to anger and frustration, So in TCM, if someone is experiencing liver imbalances, it might manifest as anger issue or even physical symptoms like headaches or digestive problems.
So it's not just about treating the physical symptoms, but looking at the whole person, their emotional state, and even the environment they are in.
That's the beauty of traditional Chinese medicine. It's a truly holistic system.
This is making me think about how we often compartmentalize health into physical health, mental health, and emotional well being in a more Western and conventional way, but TCM seems to weave it all together.
Indeed, it recognizes that everything is interconnected. You can't separate the mind from the body or the individual from their environment.
Some folks might be listening to this and thinking, okay, this all sounds very philosophical, but is there any science to back this up?
That's a very valid question. And it's important to acknowledge that TCM is rooted in ancient wisdom, observation, and experiences which can't always be explained by scientific methods. But bear in mind, the history of science is way shorter than Chinese philosophies. We may not have developed all the scientific tools to explain what TCM has been able to explain. What's exciting is that there's a growing body of research exploring the effectiveness of TCM for a wide range of conditions.
So it's not just anecdotal evidence, there is actual research being done.
Yes, studies have shown that acupuncture can be effective for pain management, reducing nausea, even helping with fertility. And herbal medicine is being investigated for its potential benefits in treating everything from colds and flu to chronic conditions like arthritis.
That's pretty impressive. It sounds like TCM is gaining more recognition in the scientific community. It's definitely a fascinating time to be exploring TCM as more research emerges. And I think it's important to emphasize that while TCM offers a different perspective on health compared to conventional medicine, the two approaches aren't necessarily mutually exclusive.
Oh, I can't agree more. It's not about choosing one over the other. They can complement each other. Conventional medicine excels at acute care and treating specific diseases, while TCM focuses on preventing illness and promoting overall well-being.
It's a more proactive approach, empowering individuals to take charge of their health. So if someone is intrigued by TCM, where do they even begin? It can feel a little overwhelming with all these different theories and practices.
That's a great point. And I think the key is to start small and you'll find something that resonates with you. You don't have to become an expert in yin-yang theory or memorize the acupuncture points overnight.
So, what are some simple things people can do incorporate TCM principles into their daily lives?
I think one of the most fundamental principles in TCM is aligning with the seasons. As we're still in the summer, which represents the outward expression of energy, expansiveness, movement, and activity, it is the most yang of the seasons and is ruled by fire.
That sounds really appealing. I would imagine rising early in the summer allow us to benefit from the sun nourishing rays. Our diets should contain more fruits and vegetables at this time to cool our body down and provide enough fluids.
And think of it as giving your body what it needs to thrive during each season. And speaking of food, another key principle in TCM is mindful eating. It's not just about what you eat, but how you eat. When I get busy at work, I remind myself not to scarf down lunch at my desk, that so many people do, and then get bloating afterwards.
I can't agree more. TCM encourage you to slow down, savor your food, and eat in a calm and relaxed environment. This is not only help with digestion, but also allows you to fully experience the flavors and appreciate the nourishment you're receiving. It's also a good reminder to be more present during meals, which is something I definitely struggle with. I'm always multitasking.
We all do it. But even small changes can make a big difference. Another TCM tip is to pay attention to your body's signals.
What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, TCM sees symptoms not just as annoyances to be silenced, but as messages from your body trying to tell you something.
So it's about getting curious about those signals, understanding what they might be revealing to your overall health, rather than just masking them with medication. TCM doesn't suppress the symptoms, but treats the roots.
And it also tunes into the inner wisdom and makes you more aware of the subtle ways your body communicates with you.
This is starting to make so much more sense. TCM is giving us the whole new perspective for understanding our bodies and their needs, and it seems to emphasize a sense of personal responsibility for our health.
Absolutely.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to make choices that support our well being rather than just being passive recipients of healthcare. And it feels like TCM, with its emphasis on interconnectedness, offers a really different perspective on health compared to the more individualistic approach we often see in Western cultures.
It's so true. TCM reminds us that our health is not just about our individual choices, but also about our relationships with ourselves, with others, and with the environment.
So it's not just about me and my body, but about understanding how I fit into this larger web of life. That's a perspective that's incredibly relevant in our world today, where we are facing so many challenges related to climate change, social disharmony, and a sense of disconnect.
It makes you realize that taking care of ourselves is also about taking care of the planet and each other. It's all connected. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about TCM. It reminds us that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Wow, this deep dive into TCM has been incredible. I feel like my whole perspective on health and wellness has shifted.
Yeah, it's amazing how these ancient principles are still so true and relevant today.
People have been asking the same question about health and longevity for centuries. It's like they were ahead of their time in so many ways, recognizing the mind body connection, the importance of preventive healthcare, and how the holistic approach to health that's so popular now.
Yeah, it really speaks to the power of observation and deep understanding of nature that those ancient practitioners had. They weren't just relying on theories, they were observing patterns and connections, trying remedies themselves, and that's something we can all learn from.
So it's not just about ancient remedies and acupuncture needles. It's a whole way of thinking, a way of seeing the world and our place in it.
And that shift in perspective can be very empowering. It allows us to move from fear and reactivity to curiosity and proactive care.
You know what I have to admit before this deep dive? I always thought of TCM as being a bit of historic, hard to understand, but you've really helped to demystify it for me.
I'm very glad to hear that. The theories can seem complex at first, but at its core, it's really about understanding those fundamental principles of balance and harmony.
And you've given us some really practical tips to incorporate those principles into our daily lives, like aligning with seasons, practicing mindfulness eating, paying attention to our body signals.
Yeah, those are just a few starting points. There's so much more to explore in the world of traditional Chinese medicine.
And for those who want to try it out, there are TCM practitioners all over the world who can provide personalized guidance and treatments.
That's right. Finding a qualified practitioner can be so valuable if you're dealing with specific health concerns or just want to experience the benefits of TCM firsthand.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a final thought to ponder. If, as TCM suggests, we are all interconnected with nature and each other, how might understanding this Asian principle and observing nature's pattern help us live healthier and more balanced lives today?
That's a great question to think about and take away. It really encourages us to reflect on our relationship with nature, with our bodies, and with the world around us. And maybe in that reflection, we can find some answers, some inspiration, and a renewed sense of purpose.
Well said. And on that note, we will wrap up this episode. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into fascinating world of knowledge out there.
See you next time!